It's Thursday, April 11th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On Barnstable Today, welcome back the dynamic entomologist duo with another creepy-crawly episode of Bug Buzz, and take a moment to thank all the volunteers who take their time to volunteer for the town of Barnstable. Now look for our municipal and legislative news. Governor Charlie Baker on Monday signed into law a ban on conversion therapy for minors. The conversion therapy ban Baker signed Monday afternoon prohibits state-licensed healthcare providers from advertising or engaging in sexual orientation and gender identity change efforts with a patient who is less than 18 years of age. Passing the bill was one of the first major policy actions the legislature took in the new session. Both chambers of the state legislature overwhelmingly passed versions of the bill. The bill passed both branches last session, but lawmakers did not get it to Baker before the clock ran out on the normal legislating calendar for the year. Our favorite entomologists are back on the set with two new insects. The beloved ladybug and the dreaded bedbug are up next in this new episode of Bug Buzz.
Hi, I'm Larry Dapsis. I'm the entomologist with Cape Cod Cooperative Extension, and I'm here today with my high-flying bug buddy,
Gabrielle Sokolsky, Cape Cod Mosquito Control.
And welcome to this segment of Bug Buzz, where me and Gabby, we bring a couple different creatures into your attention. Sometimes you're familiar with them, maybe not. But we're going to fill in a lot of details about how cool these things are and how they make their living. So what do we have today in the queue for you?
Oh, I hope people aren't familiar with this insect. I'm going to be talking about bedbugs.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool.
Very big problem.
They are, and more recently as well.
Oh, yeah.
So bedbugs are true bugs. They are in that classification with different insects like the stink bug. I talked about the brown marmorated stink bug a few episodes ago. They all have long, thin mouth parts, which is how you identify them as true bugs. They use those mouth parts to pierce and suck the juices out of whatever they're biting. The brown marmorated stink bug, biting plants, sucking the juices out of fruits. Unfortunately, the bed bugs are biting exposed skin of humans that are sleeping and sucking the juices out of us.
Yeah, and it's made a comeback
really
in modern times.
Nasty little vampires. They go through the same life cycle as the brown marmorated stink bug. They lay their eggs, but now they're laying their eggs in cracks and crevices around these sleeping people. And when they hatch as nymphs. They're light-colored. They tend to, again, be around those cracks and crevices. They feed and they molt over time. They develop into their adult stage. So the adult-staged bedbug is about the size of an apple seed, and they're sort of pear-shaped. They're reddish-brown. And so you can actually see them with your eye. I think people think they're small, but you can see bed bugs. You've seen bed bugs, unfortunately.
Not in my house.
So, no, not in your house, not in your house. Bed bugs tend to be in places like hotels, dorms, public transportation, places where people spend a lot of time, places where they might find a food source.
It's hard to think about, bed bugs as being a problem in a subway or in taxi cabs or even on airlines.
It is, but you're carrying your bags with you,
has
and
happened.
Other people are doing the same. So I guess I like to think of the bed bug story today as kind of a success story in pest control, in that the reason why we've seen the bed bug population bounce as much as it has, an increase in the past few years, recent years, decade, is that pest control is getting more targeted. We're doing a better job at targeting our pests. We're using pesticides that only target that pest you're trying to control and not the other stuff. So, around World War II era, we were using more general pesticides. We were getting good at that. People were spraying a lot of that. Bed bug populations started to disappear. And then as we got more targeted, and as people incorporated things like integrated pest management into their plans, looking at the big picture, encouraging predators and parasites in a system, what you saw was less use of pesticides and increase in bedbug population. So it's not all bad news.
No, but there's also a factor in insecticide resistance that they build. So that's why they've kind of exploded today.
True. So the best thing to do to keep from getting bed bugs. Bed bugs aren't a reflection of hygienic conditions. No. Even the highest level hotels, beautiful, many stars, they can have bed bugs. People are coming and going all the time with their bags. Even no comment. So The best way to control bed bugs is to not bring them into your home in the first place. So when I get to a hotel, and people who I travel with tend to think of me as a little paranoid, all my luggage goes into the bathroom. I
Sure.
go in, I check around the mattress, I check around the headboards, because that's where you're going to see signs of these insects. And I've got some pictures of what the signs look like. You'll see molted skins, you'll see little brown dots. They're feces after they've fed on somebody. So I go through the room, look for that, look for whether they've been there, see if I see anything. And actually, some of the hotels have gone a step further now, where they're trying to prevent bedbug infestations. They've got mattress covers now that are treated, that they'll zip up their mattresses and box springs in. That doesn't mean that they're controlling them completely, because they could be in cracks and crevices somewhere other than that mattress.
Right. I know that there's a lot of bedbug jobs that are being done on Cape Cod by pest control companies.
There are. They say the most recent survey said 97% of pest control companies are doing bedbug work every year now.
Yeah.
So in a year. And they say 1 out of 5 people in a survey has either had bugs or knows someone who has bed bugs. So I'm staying at that hotel, I've checked around. I still don't assume when I come home that I don't have bed bugs with me. My suitcase is a duffel bag, and as soon as I get home, duffel bag, clothes, everything into the dryer for half an hour. It's the heat that ends up killing those bed bugs. And it was interesting, because you had sent me that article. Now, heat has been a way that people are actually controlling bed bugs in apartments and in camps and places like that as well. If they can get the heat in the room up above 120 degrees for 20 minutes at least, you end up killing the bed bugs and all the different life stages of the bed bugs.
But
as
it's not
well.
easy to do that, to get that
No,
uniform
that's
heat.
very hot. But the article you had sent me was interesting, because you had mentioned resistance earlier. They're saying now that there's some resistance even to those heat treatments.
Sure.
So the best advice is to not bring bed bugs into your home. And if you do and you find you have an infestation, the best advice is to call a professional. The bed bugs are into crevices, into all those cracks. On your own, you are not going to be able to
Have an
control bed bugs.
inspection.
Exactly.
But there's almost a silver lining in this, Gabby, as much as people detest insects that bite them, bed bugs don't transmit diseases like ticks and mosquitoes.
Exactly. They are annoying, and you should not encourage them in your home, but you're exactly right.
Okay. So not exactly a warm and fuzzy insect that you brought to us
No,
this
but
week.
not all bad news.
Okay, that's all. So I will bring in the warm and fuzzy aspect to this.
As expected.
One of our viewers, a very good friend of mine, Leanne Bolo, she contacted me and says, Larry, could you do something on ladybird beetles? And what triggered this is that she had an infestation of ladybird beetles in her house, and we'll get to who that is in a few minutes. But who doesn't love ladybird beetles? If you look at them, they're iconic. And one of the things that I don't think a lot of people understand or know is that the 7-spot ladybird beetle is our official state insect, okay? And this was enacted in 1974. And why it was enacted is really kind of an interesting story. They were at Franklin Elementary School, 3rd graders. They were getting a lesson from their teacher about all things that are officially state. So our state bird is the chickadee, our state fish is the cod. And the students asked the teacher what our state insect was, and the teacher said, we don't have one. So these students organized a letter writing campaign and got this pushed through. So lesson here is that if you want to get something done on Beacon Hill, enlist the help of students and send the kids to do that. They are absolutely beautiful aesthetically. You see images of ladybird beetles incorporated into art. It's a very popular costume design for Halloween, and it doesn't just have to be little cute kids, but it can be even very confident adults. And we see this here. So all ladybird beetles aren't the classic red with the black spots. So if we look at this kind of group here, you see there's a lot of different sizes and shapes and color patterns. In North America, we have about 500 plus species, so there's a lot of different kinds out there. So you see the classic red with the black spots, or the black with the red spots, or kind of pink with black spots, so it ranges. What people don't often recognize is the immature stages. So the larvae, if you look at these here in this picture, they look like little alligators. And the benefits of ladybird beetle adults and larvae is that they feed on soft-bodied insects like aphids and scale and mites. So they're kind of a natural biological control organism. So look at this picture here. This is cottony cushion scale on citrus. And cottony cushion scale was a major pest of California orange groves for many years. And in the late 1800s, Charles Valentine Riley, entomologist for USDA, he looked into this situation. He's considered the father of modern biological control. And he thought that this is an introduced insect. Let's go to its native land and see what is keeping it under control. In this case, they went to Australia and they found this predator, ladybird beetle, the Vidalia beetle. So what they did was they collected large numbers of these, brought them to California, released them into the citrus groves, and it is a mainstay of control of cottony cushion scale today. Now these things, they look pretty, but they're basically brightly colored and they stand out for a reason. It's warning coloration. So it's kind of like the monarch butterfly. It's like they want to be conspicuous. And for a predator, if they happen to try feeding on a ladybird beetle, you see here this little droplet of blood. They will bleed from around their joints. And that blood contains alkaloid chemicals, which smell really bad. And they taste very bad, and they're poisonous, okay? So they have this defense mechanism that works out very, very well. Now here is the problem ladybird beetle that comes into structures. Here's the Asian ladybird beetle, okay? You see this on the right-hand side, and very conspicuous, easy to identify. It's obviously introduced, and they will invade structures in the fall, kind of like stink bugs, in big numbers. And because most ladybird beetles, when they are going to overwinter, they'll find a protected area like under tree bark or in leaf litter. Right. But these Asian ladybird beetles, they look at things a little differently. So you can have large numbers of these in, attic crawl spaces or in spare rooms.
We had them in our apartment when we were at UMass.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
And the thing that's incredible to me is that if you have this problem, you can actually go into a store and buy a ladybird beetle insecticide. And I don't want people doing that at all, okay? It's a crazy thing to approach, but there are companies that have products like that on the market. Best thing to do to solve for this is good old vacuum cleaner, because you don't want a lot of dead insects building up and crumbling, creates fragments, creates allergen potential. So pretty easy to clear up. You can buy ladybird beetles, and a number of people think that I'm going to go to a company, buy ladybird beetles, release them into my garden, and we're off. That's actually kind of a waste of money. The first thing that's going to happen when you release all those ladybird beetles is they're going to get up and fly away, because there's not enough insect prey to kind of keep 1,000 ladybird beetles focused on that area. So the best thing a homeowner or a gardener can do is plant flowering herbs. That not only will help native pollinators, but ladybird beetle adults feed on the pollen and the nectar, so it's a good thing for everybody. So that is it for this segment of Bug Buzz. I hope Leanne enjoyed it. And Gabby and I look forward to coming back to you again sometime with another couple very interesting creatures. So stay tuned.
National Volunteer Week is an opportunity to celebrate the impact of volunteer service and the power of volunteers to tackle society's greatest challenges, to build stronger communities, and be a force that transforms the world. Here in the town of Barnstable, volunteers are the backbone of some of our core programs and services. From Barnstable Recreation to town committees and boards, to our school community partnerships, it takes 7 villages and all its residents to make a town a community. We pulled this segment out of our Marine and Environmental Appreciation Gathering out of the archives to celebrate you, our volunteers. From all of us at the town of Barnstable, thank you for your time, energy, and commitment. Barnstable volunteers rock. get to thank all the volunteers that work with you season after season. How gratifying is it?
It's so wonderful. I love them all so much. This is great because, you know, when we're in the field, we're working really hard and it's like, okay, go do this, you go do that. And, you know, it can get a little hectic. But this is, I get to actually enjoy their company and we get to chat and, you know, be out of the waders, real people to people. They're just such a wonderful bunch.
First time I went with Liz Lewis, who does a fabulous job, Tom and all the people here do terrific jobs, and we seeded an area over on Haney Point. It's just a fascinating job, and it's really not a job. It's an activity for the afternoon where we plant 250,000 seeds for future harvesting with the town of Barnstable. It's just a great activity.
I was a teacher for 40 years, so I'm used to working with kids. I had 7th graders, which everybody shudder at, but you know, if you love kids and working with them, it's great. You know, whether it be clamming for kids or as a teacher or my winter job, I'm always involved in kids and trying to make them smile. I like them to see the results of our efforts when they come away with a bag of clams or they learn something new and so forth. Again, teaching something to somebody, adult or to child, it's always good.
I think it's a great opportunity to help the shell fishing program. Without the DNR and the volunteer efforts that support it, shell fishing in Barnstable and probably on the Cape wouldn't survive. So these efforts are really necessary to keep this wonderful recreational fishery open.
I feel as though I'm doing a lot of good for a lot of people. We've helped a lot with planting little quahogs, and we've put in several 100,000 with the DNR. So it's really been a fun thing.
Thank you all for coming, my lovely volunteers. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is an awesome time of year. You know, I like that we do this right before Thanksgiving because I am very thankful for all of you. As we are moving through years here and we're trying to do more and more every year, you guys are absolutely wonderful and have been there to help me every step of the way and help this town. So thank you so much. Give yourselves a pat on the back. To give you a rundown of what you guys did this year, which is huge. This is the most that I've ever seen. 96 volunteers this year. Whoa. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Putting together 510 hours. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's a lot of time. We planted 1,782,000 quahogs under 111 nets.
Wow,
that's a lot. Wicked awesome. But this is what I really like. Okay, you ready? 473 bushels of quahogs were moved this year.
Wow.
That's a lot of digging. And what I think is great about this is that there was one day we were out there and we were digging and we were way too efficient. Okay, we have 18 bushel baskets. We dug 18 bushels in less than an hour.
Oh, wow.
So I literally had to go plant that, come back to give you guys more baskets because you didn't want to leave. And then eventually we called it because I said, well, you guys can't stay, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, right? So then I left you at Bridge Street to do whatever you want to do. All right, anyway, yeah. So 473 bushels went around. A lot of that went to the clamming classes, which we really can't do without you. You know, having that one-on-one to get new, especially kids, to get kids into shell fishing, to get them out of their house, into their backyard, seeing what's in the ocean.
Off their phones.
Off their phones, right? Using more than just the thumbs. And you guys all helping to teach that new generation. We also have started to do adult clamming classes because you guys have come out in numbers, and there's a lot of adults that want to learn too. Those adult classes, we had over 70 people at each class. So we saw over 200 adults at those 3 shellfishing classes. And think about how many bushels you had to dig just to support that at Bridge Street. So awesome job. Thank you so much. I cannot dig 400 bushels alone, so thank you. You guys are amazing.
It's the opportunity for the residents of the town to harvest seafood. And it gets them connected with the town, and they feel a part of the town. And then I think there is a better attitude on the part of Barnstable citizens about the whole town and what goes on in the town and why we pay taxes, quite frankly. It helps support natural resources.
How important is recreational shellfishing to the town of Barnstable?
It's super important, and you can see that by the number of people that we have come down. The first weekend, opening weekend, we had over 700 people come down to go shellfishing. And I think it's a favorite pastime here. It's a tradition. People have been doing it for so long, and I think it's better than it's ever been. People love it, and you can see all this love in this room because we all love shellfish so much.
I do the seeding, I do clean outs and help move the clams around. I kind of like 2 parts of it. I like the seeding part, and then I like it 2 or 3 years down the road when we come back to that exact same area and we're doing a clean out and we're seeing these clams that were like 1/4 inch the size and now they're legal or bigger, and you're scooping up by the rakeful, and it's just so awesome to have so many clams there. Not to mention that when you're cleaning out the new ones, you find an occasional old one that's like the size of your fist.
But it's just very, it's very satisfying, again, when you put a rake down and you pull up half a dozen quahogs, and it's like, whoa, that's great, yeah.
It opens up a whole new world to you. It does. And you become involved in an activity that you can get involved with on your own personal schedule. I happen to be retired, but if you're not retired and you have a work requirement, there are days that you can still do this, and you have a new activity in your life. And it's a fascinating activity, and it's an enjoyable activity, and it's a worthwhile activity. So all of these reasons, if someone is not involved, again, you don't have to be knowledgeable. Everybody will help you. They'll explain what you have to do, and then you just enjoy yourself. I can't emphasize that too much. I probably said that word often.
Volunteer. It's real rewarding. It's a great group of people. Plus, it's a lot of fun. You get to see some new areas that you might not normally get to. And other than that, get out there and dig clams. Have a good season.
Join Channel 18 tonight, 7 p.m., second floor hearing room, Town Hall, for the cable hearing meeting. Learn what your public access, education, and government TV channels are doing for the town of Barnstable. Share your support and ask questions. Can't make the meeting? Watch it on Channel 18. Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Please join Representative Sarah Peake and Senator Julian Cyr for a town hall meeting style discussion on issues relating to energy and the environment. The event will be held on Saturday, April 13th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Nauset Regional Middle School Auditorium, 70 Route 28, Orleans. The first hour of the event will feature remarks and questions and answers by Senator Cyr and Representative Peake. The second hour will feature a panel discussion featuring representatives from local environment and energy organizations on the Cape. Comments, suggestions, accolades, Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Email us or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works for you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.